Well, hello and welcome to chapter 16-ish of World's Longest Suicide Note. I'm Roger, and while I am suicidal, at times, often, I am not a mental health professional or marine biologist. All right. Last time we talked about kind of a day in the life and living with the stuff and dealing with what's going on and everything, right? Like getting through a day. And I didn't quite finish those thoughts, so I'm going to kind of touch base on that. And just to, those of us who have been like institutionalized, you always would start out your day with, you know, where do you feel on this, this spectrum? You have the faces, upset to happy. Well, obviously, if you're in that situation, probably aren't on this side of the spectrum. That side meaning the happy or somewhat happy or whatever. And you'd have to do that multiple times a day. Show me where you're at. I'm that one. I'm the sad face. And I always thought that how ridiculous that whole thing was. I mean, ridiculous, but not ridiculous. I mean, I understand. But the idea of constantly checking on yourself, that's sunk in to a degree where I feel strongly that that's something that you should do for yourself on a daily basis. Me, I do it regularly, at least every hour. After every meeting, after every phone call, I, I do a self-check, self-diagnosis. And what that is just me trying to understand where I am in relation to the rabbit hole. I mean, it's always a hole, and somehow it's always a rabbit hole. And I've never actually seen a rabbit hole. I mean, I don't live in rabbit country, and I don't know how. I mean, do they dig really deep holes? I mean, I would like think gophers and other critters would probably dig deeper holes. But apparently rabbits dig deep holes. I'll Google that later. So anyway, getting off topic. What else is new? So throughout the day, because for many of us, we don't have a choice of taking, sitting a play out, sit a couple plays out because we have responsibilities. And I would love to, sit a few plays out often. But that is not something that is a possibility with my life. And honestly, I really don't want it to be. I don't want my activities dictated by my mental illness. I would rather have control over that and have it the other way. So it is what I want. I do want to be in charge of it. So this is how we do it, because it takes such a huge mental toll when you have to deal with burgeoning mental illness during a day where you can't cancel things. You have to keep going. And so really then it's just about taking every opportunity to feed your energy instead of taking it away. It's like almost like when you're traveling and you have a say long flights, yeah, and you don't have your charging cord, charging, or no access to charging your phone, and everything's on your phone now. Boarding passes are on your phone, itinerary, all that stuff. So what you have to do is you have to manage your usage with the duration. So it's like, it's going to take 12 hours, and in 12 hours I'm going to need to, my phone still has to work. So you're going to use it, but you're also going to use it sparingly. And then if you get a chance to, if there's, any way that you can charge your phone, you're going to charge it. So it's about maintaining that battery life. And it's the same thing kind of with the management of your mental illness. The whole idea is to manage it to a way that you're conserving energy, but you're able to move forward at a pace that you still get work done, and you're still being productive, but it's something that it's not draining you too quickly. So I go from hour to hour, and the biggest thing and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, the biggest thing I try to do for myself is schedule time in between things to process, to allow myself to use some tools that help me out to get my mind right as we move forward. So yeah, that's very important. And I really try to do that every day. Now some days, best laid plans, you can never always plan everything out to the greatest detail, and you're going to run into days that you can't, all the things that you hope to achieve don't it all kind of falls apart, and then it's in survival mode. At the end of the day there will be an end of the day, and it's at that time where you need to really figure out what it is that you need. You may just need to go home and go to bed. You may need to, work out. You may need to do whatever it is, that energy has to be replaced, because it's going to, the sun's going to rise the next day, and if you haven't replaced the energy, well, then you're starting from a deficit, and it is not going to be. That's how the shit show starts, and everyone knows the shit show, where that's kind of the start of the downward spiral, and it's something to be avoided, really, at all costs. And I really try to maintain the lowest possible depth in that rabbit hole. You know, the lowest possible? No. What I meant is, what I try to do is stay as close to the surface as possible. So minimize the depth. Yes, that's what I meant to say. Why would I want to do the other one? You definitely don't want to go down it farther than you have to. You live in the life in the rabbit hole. That would be an interesting book title, Life in the Rabbit Hole, because we spend time there. We spend a lot of time there. So that it's a place that we all kind of, we're aware of it, and it's part of our lives, but it's not where we want to be, and that's the biggest, because when we're in the rabbit hole, honestly, if I'm in the rabbit hole at all, I'm suicidal. I mean, and what that doesn't, it doesn't mean I'm just looking for an opportunity. If I'm walking and there's a cliff, I'm not going to jump off of it. It's not that kind of relationship, but my concern is that the more you're in that, the more you're thinking about that, the more that the opportunities present themselves, and at some point you reach a capacity, and that's when things like that happen. So I really try to stay out of, I try to stay with a positive altitude, and there's another, the altitude attitude. The attitude of altitude. That'd be a good book too. I don't know. I'm just into book titles. I could just maybe I could be a consultant and just come up with cool book title names. Yeah, I don't know. So the whole idea is, it's all about management, but I don't want to like belabor the point, but I don't want to minimize it, because it is important to manage. I mean, every day just becomes management. The problem is, at what point do you get tired of managing, of knowing that this is what's going to be for a long time, and this is the best it's going to be for a long time, and the discouragement that you could feel, and the understanding that I'm working very hard. I'm working hard, and I don't know if it's working, or if it's gonna work, or there's a lot of questions. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of, I felt like I left some things off when I spoke last, and I'm probably leaving things off now, because that's what happens. I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping well, and things are just kind of, like for a lot of people, the environment is, and I don't mean the environment is like the weather. I just mean we're in a, what's going on in the world and what's going on with people and everything plays a big role in how we feel, really, too. Because if the world's falling apart, we're like, well, why fight so hard? And maybe we'll talk about that next time. Is like the impact of environment on your individual mental health, and the role that plays. That'd be a good one. So, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next time. So, yeah, well, take care, fight hard, and we'll talk about that in the next chapter. All right, take care.